servant of all, subject to everyone. Okay, I guess that's true for women. In fact, the second part is probably especially true for women, especially women pastors. I think I'll write that down. I have always seen myself as a servant of God. Isn't that the calling of every believer? Even followers of Jesus. Even Jesus himself said, I came not to be served, but to serve, and to give my life as a ransom for many. And again he said, whoever would be great among you, let him be your servant. I'm not sure that's what he expects of his followers. But after a while, it gets to be pretty hard to keep doing that. Sometimes I wish he had included a cancellation clause in this contract. That's how I felt about writing. That's how I feel. But writing that doesn't make me feel any better. In fact, I think it's making me feel worse. Let's see what the book has to say. Okay. Why was Jesus so committed to serving others? It wasn't because he saw it as his duty or obligation to his Father. Jesus served others simply because he loved people, all sorts of people, regardless of anything that might have made them unlovable in the eyes of others. Jesus kept his focus clear. God's kingdom was dawning through him, and for the sake of all the nations of the earth. Man values political power, wealth, prestige, and the ability to make others subservient to him. Not so with Jesus. In him, God's love took on flesh and blood. Oh, Tom, how are you? Come on in. I was just finishing my dinner. You know, if you'd called, I would have gotten you something. But I still have a few fries left if you're hungry, actually a lot.
Oh, you pastors are such gourmets. Did you spend all afternoon preparing dinner?
Very funny. Okay, what's up?
I was thinking about you visiting your dad and wondering how it went. Was it helpful to go see him?
You know, I suppose it was. He really is a great father and a good pastor.
Did he give you any good advice?
Not exactly. Sit down, Tom. You know, he did surprise me, though, when he told me that what I'm going through is not all that unusual for pastors, or for the average follower of Jesus either, when it comes down to it. He even told me some things about himself and my mother that I had never even heard about. And then, the best part is he gave me this book to read. It's an old book from the 50s. It's called Pathway to Renewal, 7 Steps to Wholeness.
The 50s, huh? Sounds like old stuff. Any good?
You know, actually, I kind of like it. It's got a lot of good stuff in there, even though it has some old-fashioned language. And, it's got a lot of solid stuff. Common sense stuff. And you know what they say, there's nothing common about common sense, right? So, well, one of the things I like about this book is that at the end of every chapter, they have questions for discussion or reflection, right? So I started keeping this journal, like I used to do when I was in seminary, which has been good. You know, though, there is something about this book that makes me uncomfortable. I'll tell you what it is. It's that every time it keeps challenging me to question what it is that I do and why I do it. And as I've thought about it, I've started to realize how over the past few years I've kind of lost focus about why I chose to become a servant of God in the first place. You know, Tom, I went to seminary because I thought I had some gifts that God could use to help other people solve their problems. And that's the way it was when I first started as a pastor.
Well, what made it change?
Well, it wasn't anything I did consciously. See, I've been thinking about it, and I realized that I've spent more and more time trying to run this church. For example, there was a period of time when we had no secretary. So what I did was I typed up and printed out all the bulletins. Then when the newsletter editor quit, or got another job, I took over that job too.
So what's the big deal? You were a college newspaper editor, weren't you? That sort of stuff is right up your alley. Besides, you're probably the best person for the job around here anyway.
Yeah, And then there were the meetings. All these meetings, all the time, right? One time I was sitting in a council meeting, and I was scolding the council members for not holding regular committee meetings. So I challenged them to come up with a regular meeting schedule so that I could attend each and every one of those meetings.
I bet that kept you pretty busy.
Yeah, it sure did. There were meetings almost every night. And then on top of that, I had the responsibility, the duty, of teaching 3 confirmation classes, leading Bible study, meeting with the women's group, and meeting with the youth group.
Good thing we didn't have a men's group back then.
Well, you know, there was a group of men who came to me about forming a men's group. And they asked me for some help. And I told them that I just couldn't help them, that they had to do it on their own.
So that's how the men's fellowship got started. No wonder it's so successful. Only kidding. But all that's in the past. I don't see what it has to do with what you're experiencing now.
Well, you know, I did cut back on the crazy schedule, but you have to realize that a lot of members of this church are getting older and they're retiring. And all of a sudden, they're just too busy to do the things they used to do around here. I've never figured that one out yet. I don't think I ever will. But then on top of that, I have the funerals, the hospital visits, the drop-in weddings.
Drop-in weddings?
Yeah.
You're not getting into skydiving, are you?
Oh, no. Drop-in wedding, okay? It's when people call the church and they suddenly want to get married, very quickly, right? Usually, it's because they've already, ready for this? This is incredible. They've already booked a catering hall, hired a photographer, hired a caterer, they've already picked out their wedding party, everything they're going to wear, the limo, etc., etc., etc. And then all of a sudden one day they wake up and they realize they don't have anywhere to get hitched. So they call me. You know, Tom, though, it's really sad because when they call me and I check my calendar, I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to be busy that day. But don't you know, that's almost never the case. I don't know how it is, that's just a busy schedule. But, so, you know, I meet with them, we plan the wedding, and I go through with it.
Well, if that's how you feel, then why do you say yes? I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who could do their wedding if you don't want to.
Well, it's not that I don't want to do their wedding. See, when I first came here, I saw this as a good opportunity to reach out to people in the community, right? I figured if I developed a positive enough relationship with them, after they got married, they'd come back and get involved with the church.
Well, hasn't that turned out to be the case? I know several couples who joined the church after you married them here.
Yeah, but that's the problem in a nutshell. You see, I sow little seeds, and sometimes they sprout and grow. But that only increases my workload because
Hold it right there. You said you became a pastor because you felt God was calling you to serve people in different ways.
Yes.
So you helped people.
Yes, where's all this going?
And now you're all shook up because you didn't fail at the job God gave you to accomplish? That's interesting. Well, now that we have a diagnosis, are you ready for a prescription?
Yes, Dr. Tom. What can I do to feel better?
I could say, take 2 Bible verses and see me in the morning, but that would be unkind. I have a better suggestion. You need to regain your focus. Get back to the basics.
What do you mean?
If you think that God is calling you to serve God's people, perhaps you need to let go of some of the things that are taking up your time, so you can spend your energy serving the people God called you to serve.
You know, I think I kind of like that idea. It's actually pretty good. But where am I going to find the time? And where am I going to begin?
You're the pastor and you're asking me? I suppose a good place to begin is to pray about it. Ask God to tell you who He wants you to focus on first. Then tell people you're changing gears, that you want to spend more time just getting to know people, to spend more time visiting them. I bet there are some people who will invite you to come over first. And then other people come up in your mind for various reasons. And you can visit them too.
You know, I don't know, Tom. It sounds good, but it's a bit scary too.
True. But remember, visiting people will give you a chance to get back in touch with that inner spiritual energy that got you going in this job in the first place. Who knows what will come about as a result of you spending time among God's people?
Well, I guess it's worth a try.
It is. Would you like me to pray for you?
Sure.